Hey everyone, my name is Jamie and welcome to Crimson Ed Talks. Today we're with an amazing, legendary Stanford student, Lara, who's currently actually working at Google over the summer in an internship. Today we're going to be deep diving into her story, how she went from Brazil to Stanford, what her experience at one of the world's best universities, maybe the world's best university has been, and what's going on at Google. Lara, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm really excited to speak with you today. Crimson is very important to my journey, so I'm really excited to be here celebrating 10 years of Crimson.
Amazing. I'm so happy to hear. Yeah, it's been a wild ride for sure. So why don't we rewind back to high school? A lot of the folks listening to this are ambitious high school students who are thinking about how they can live these ambitious lives in the world stage. What were you like in high school, and when did the idea of going abroad kind of first enter your universe?
I didn't actually knew if I wanted to do like engineering or if I wanted to be a doctor or like journalism. So I was all over the place. But one thing that I was getting into was I started coding. So I learned like I was doing science Olympiads, informatics Olympiads. So this is when I started to learn how to code. And I thought it was really cool because before I like math, but then computer science, like coding, helped me solve those like big problems in math that it wouldn't be possible to do like in pen and paper. And then you would tell the computer to solve it, and then the computer would solve or not. And this was really exciting because in Brazil we would have to choose a path and then take classes in that path. And for me, it made sense because I was interested. I was all over the place. And then my friends were exploring different interests when they were studying the US. So for me, it was really inspiring to get to know other people. That's why I also love talk about like my experience going to the US. It's not that I love talking about myself. It's that I love like talking about the experience because I can inspire others, because this is what happened to me and what made me go and pursue this dream of studying abroad. That became a dream when I got into contact with my friends' experiences.
And I guess this takes us now, probably it's a great venture to think now start talking about a bit about Stanford and what that experience
Yes.
was like. Because it seems like from a young age in high school, you were thinking globally, you had these ideas, and you probably met quite an interesting community in the Olympiads that wanted to go abroad.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what it was like, I guess, when you first set foot at Stanford. What did this whole new world feel like? Bring us back to that freshman year moment where you first began your adventure.
Yeah, so I think Stanford was always my dream school, especially because I had like this focus on CS, that in computer science that was like the coding part from the Olympiads, but also had like it's kind of the liberal arts education at the same time. So when I got to Stanford, I remember like I felt at home. The first time that I stepped into Stanford was when I moved there to study. I didn't visit before, but I really felt at home when I arrived there. This is why I think like college fit, when we talk about like research, when you're research universities and when you're applying, it's so important because you'll be spending there like at least 4 years of your life. So when I got there and felt at home, this made me kind of at peace that I was making the right decision. So my freshman year was giving me what I went there mainly looking for, the like computer science experience, but also like the liberal art experience that I didn't even know that I was looking for too.
And tell me a bit about what are some of the most exciting classes that you ever taken so far at Stanford? Any particular classes that rocked your world in computer science or even in other domains that made you rethink kind of how you see reality?
So my favorite classes at Stanford. So I speak about computer science classes and also other classes in other subjects. So I think my favorite computer science class so far was one that I took recently, trust and safety. So it's talking about kind of like digital safety on the internet. And it's like the professors were political science professor, psychology professor, and engineering, like computer science professor, and they were kind of like talking to us how people kind of misuse internet, and how we as engineers or political scientists, we can kind of prevent and also fight against these abuses. And other classes that I really fell in love with, so in my freshman year I took a class which is witchcraft and witch hunting in early America. So it was a religious studies class that talked about during like colonial times in America, and like the Puritans arriving in the country, and how like they established themselves, and then some anxieties related to economics, war, politics made people kind of accuse their neighbors of witchcraft. So people weren't really doing witchcraft, but then this kind of historical, political things that were happening around them made this anxiety come forward. So I knew nothing about like Puritans in America, colonial times. I knew nothing about this witch hunting happening. At Stanford, you can do a 5th year program that you finish your bachelor's, and then you do your master's. So in the 5th year, you do your master's, and then you leave Stanford with 2 degrees. You leave with bachelor's and the master's. So in my 4th year, when I was in my senior year, I applied for the master's for this 5-year option, and then I got into the master's in computer science. Then this made me kind of rethink my plans of like bachelor's and master's. So what I did, I kind of upgraded my minor in religious studies to be a major in religious studies. So now I will graduate at Stanford with a bachelor's in religious studies. So now I can take like more classes and kind of deep my interest in religious studies. And at the same time, I will graduate Stanford with my master's in computer science. So again, I will continue to deepen my interest in computer science, because I can take more advanced classes and go deeper, because now I will be like taking graduate classes.
And some students would wonder, okay, so you've got this really fascinating degree in religious studies, but what kind of career tracks do you go to from next? In your case, you're rocking it at Google. So you've really hit the most exciting tech company in the universe. You've made the really Silicon Valley dream happen. So what has it been like at Google so far? Was that always a goal of yours? How did that come into the universe? And how's your experience been today?
In my junior year, last year, I got the internship at Google. So like dream coming true. And then yeah, I could work there last year in an internship. This year I came back another time for another internship. And yeah, it's like, as you said, the kind of heart of Silicon Valley. Also, Google started at Stanford. And then I did like Stanford, and then I'm also like working at Google right now. And yeah, being able, also the internship, you really work in projects that will go to production, then real users, like even you, will use what you built. So this is really amazing. And also Google is like a university itself, but because it has so many teams that work in different products at Google, and then impact billions of users around the world. And for me, this is really fascinating, because while you are there in the company, you really are learning new things with so many different people that are also really excited about both, like, yeah, the computer science part, even if they are not software engineers. And also, yeah, just they really like Google too. So yeah, I'm really fulfilling my dream. I hope I will come back as a full time. So I'm really working hard in my internship to return as a full time next year.
Well, I have no doubt you'll dazzle them. That's very exciting, and I'm sure Google would be really fortunate to have you. Now, I wanted to ask a bit about Google, particularly in the wake of AI. So there's a lot of these companies like Perplexity out there, and for a lot of my youth, Google was seen almost like this technology company above all else, for which there was no challenger, there was no sort of alternative. I mean, there was Bing, but basically everyone likes to use Google. In your case, in this new world of AI, how is it shaping up your experience at Google?
Yeah, I think I will speak more from my perspective as a student at Stanford than like an intern at Google. Yeah, exactly what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
said, like of NEA,
yeah,
NDAs and stuff like that. All the companies, we are kind of like in a rush for like AI. I think other companies are kind of doing that. And then I also think that universities too, they are also reinventing themselves in the wake of AI. Not exactly in the wake of AI, but in AI becoming so popular because like AI has been there for years, like LLMs, they might have been there more for like research, but now the whole population is kind of using the results of AI right now. So I think like university also they are reinventing themselves a lot in terms of, for example, trying to integrate AI in all the classes. So, for example, religious studies classes, they are one of my professors. They made a prompt, a essay prompt, interacting with ChatGPT. So, kind of talk to ChatGPT about a subject of the New Testament, and then the students had to kind of analyze the ChatGPT answer and kind of argument about like the flaws and the good things about the argument of ChatGPT. So I think integrating AI, this was like I think more trivial example, but all the classes are trying to integrate AI to be more also to become to compete with like different interests the students are being exposed to. So to keep the classes current, I guess. And also this comes also to like honor code. So Stanford really like honor codes is really a big thing at Stanford and imagine in other universities, but also like how you yeah you keep like your questions, your exams unique enough that like I don't know, you students won't use ChatGPT to I don't know try to violate the honor code or I don't know. But I think this is also a concern for all the subjects and all departments. Yeah, I think people are having to reinvent themselves, and even the technology companies like Google, Meta, I don't know, like OpenAI. So they are all having to try to reinvent themselves. Even these companies that were and are big breakthroughs. So like Google that you said, kind of like the search came as yeah, I think like really disruptive, I guess, to something very innovating. And then they are also having to reinvent themselves with AI, and then who what the company that it's producing like the best AI that will kind of rule the market. Yeah, so I think this is a concern that also many people in computer science at Stanford are having. So many people are also specializing in AI or at least taking classes in AI. So I took a class, Introduction to AI, and there are also like machine learning classes that I think would be interesting for me to take. Because yeah, before was like, oh, knowing how to code would be good for you, like a plus. But now it's like knowing a little bit of AI would be good for you, a plus in the job market, even if you are not working directly with AI. Yes, I think this is something to keep in mind. Like, you don't need to all everyone be AI right now. Like, I won't do that. I think knowing a little bit about AI would be important. So I think like thinking about students coming to college right now. I think this would be an interesting like courses, interested courses to explore when you come to college, or even when you are in high school. You can yeah, try to learn more about what this LLM models, like LLMs that people are talking about, like language models that people are talking about. But you don't need to be like AI savvy. But if you are, like, good for you too. Yeah, so I think it would be it's something really worth exploring, especially when you are in high school and coming to college too.
I really appreciate you sharing your story. I know so many students listening to this will find this absolutely captivating. When we think about Crimson, we think about this international student journey from corners of the world through these amazing universities and the world's coolest companies, and you've just nailed it. And we're so excited to see your career at Google and how things unfold for you post Stanford. But a huge congrats on what you've achieved. It's very inspiring.